Colleagues, good morning. The time is 9 o'clock. My name is Konati Manjanja. I'm joining you today from the Tutuka Power Station, where 15 of us will be, us being myself and the Eskom team, and about 15 journalists will be going through the plant to just see what work is being done here by Silo Mameja and his team, station manager, to restore operations at Tutuka. But at this very point, I shall hand over to Anroy Durator to lead this second media briefing of the current load shedding. My request to you, all of you colleagues, those who have questions, is to type them up in the chat box so we can go through them as quickly as we possibly can. Anroy Durator, please take over.
Thank you very much, Sikanati, and thank you for the introduction, and good morning to everybody. Our current planned maintenance units on outage amounts to a total of 3,910. We have full unplanned losses of 8,900 and partial losses of 4,901. Which gives you total unplanned losses of 13,991, which is very high. We have been successful in returning a number of units to service, Camden 2 and 7, as well as Kumati 9. These are all very small units. We were able to return Kriel 3, as well as Majuba 4, and Matimba 1 and 3. Matimba 2 will be returned to service later once we have finished checking the transformer, and I'll say a bit more about what happened at Matimba yesterday, soon after the briefing was concluded. Matla 6 is expected back later. I've just been informed that Dupi 3, which had returned, has tripped again, and then we hope to have Tutuka 4 onto the grid later today. But as you are well aware, Tutuka is not a particularly reliable station. It used to be one of our top performing stations. In June 2017, when the previous power station manager was appointed by one of my illustrious predecessors, the EAF at Tutuka was 94.26%. By the time that the PSGM was suspended on the 31st of December 2019, EAF had collapsed to 36.72%. So, colleagues, these are some of the legacy issues that we are dealing with that have a bearing on where we find ourselves today. Peak demand for evening peak is anticipated to come in at 27,908, with load shedding stage 2 being applied. That will give us adequate capacity. We have been able to recover both our dams as well as our diesel level. Our intent at this point in time is that we will lift load shedding tonight at 9 o'clock, 21 hours, to give everybody a bit of a respite during the evening hours. We will, however, resume load shedding at stage 1 by 5 o'clock tomorrow morning, which at this time is expected to continue until 21 hours, 9 o'clock on Friday evening, so tomorrow night. This is subject to the units returning that we have indicated, Matimba 2, Matla 6, and Tutuka 4. Tutuka 4 is not really crucial in the bigger scheme of things, so I think we'll get by without it, but we will issue a confirmatory statement this afternoon by 4 o'clock, just to allow everybody to plan. You will have seen media reports referring to the loss of Matimba units 1, 2 and 3 yesterday. A team had been working on the ACC fans. Now, these are the dry cooling fans that provide cooling to the station. This team managed to drop an extension cord onto the Unit 2 transformer. A flash resulted, which tripped the station board and shut down all cooling to Units 1, 2, and 3, and that led to those units shutting down. We have difficulty in believing that this is entirely coincidental, so we have dispatched a forensic team to site. They will be investigating. We will also be deploying additional security to site in order to ensure that we can protect our assets. My fundamental point of departure has always been not to attribute to malice what can be explained by incompetence, but when you have 3 simultaneous unit trip like this, it certainly does arouse suspicion. I must confirm what we have said yesterday in a media statement, that we have no hard evidence of sabotage at this point in time, but it certainly is quite coincidental that this incident has taken place right now. Similarly, last night, and this is hot off the press, we had a close shave at Letabo Power Station. You will know that Letabo Power Station is our most reliable power station. The coal conveyors feeding coal into Letabo is supplied with electricity by 2 distribution lines coming from Gauteng. These lines are each capable of carrying the full load, so there is double redundancy. At around 6, so immediately before evening peak, one of the towers collapsed in such a way that it fell onto the other line and thereby rendered both those lines inoperable. Again, we are investigating. The consequences of this disruption would have been that after about 6 hours, Letabo would have run out of coal and would therefore have had to shut down. Thanks to some very nimble footwork by our distribution management, they were able to devise a 3rd supply from the Free State. This took a bit of engineering, and by 3 o'clock this morning, they were able to restore supply and manage to keep coal supply to Letabo going. So again, quite an interesting incident. A tower collapsing immediately prior to peak in such a way as to render both lines inoperable and taking out that double redundancy. I want to come back to a question raised by Chris Yelland during yesterday's media conference, where he asked questions about boiler tube leaks. Now, boiler tube leaks are largely caused by external erosion of the boiler tubing. We have been conducting some significant security investigations into the transport of coal. You may recall that we had previously said that we are now sealing all coal under a tarpaulin with a seal at the mine, and that seal is only broken when the truck arrives at a power station. We have recently discovered a truck at one of our power stations. In order not to compromise the investigation, I won't divulge which power station, where the truck driver had 60 of these seals in the cab of his truck. So that clearly creates the opportunity for continuing to tamper with coal quality while the coal is en route. And we are working with the Directorate of Priority Crime Investigation, from whom we are getting very good support, and thank you for that, in order to uncover this particular network that is clearly intent on skimming off the good coal and filling what is left with rocks and other incombustible material, which is of course very hard on our boiler tubes as well as on our mills. So it's certainly been an interesting 24 hours. I want to thank my generation colleagues for working very hard to return those units to service. We are really working around the clock, and we are working against some considerable, shall we call them, coincidences that I think could have had much worse impacts were it not for some really good responses by the Eskom team, and we therefore are in this position where we will be able to lift load shedding tonight and then return to phase one tomorrow. And then at this point in time, the outlook for the weekend is quite stable, if nothing else goes awry. Thank you, Sikanati. That's the quick overview for the day, and I will hand back to you to take questions.
Thank you, Andre. It is indeed quite a hectic time. Let's just repeat what you said. At 9 p.m. we lift load shedding, and we reinstate load shedding at stage 1 tomorrow morning at 5 a.m. Am I correct?
Yes, Sikanati, that is the plan. We are dependent, however, on those units returning to service, and we will therefore confirm by 4 o'clock this afternoon whether we will be able to execute as planned.
Thank you. I have the first hand risen from Kyle Cohen of News 24. At this point, I do not have any written questions, colleagues. Kyle, please unmute yourself and proceed with your question.
Good morning. Thank you, Sikanati. Mr. Director, what could the possible motivation be of people to, we don't have evidence of sabotage, but why would people be doing things like this? We all suffer, the entire country suffers. Is there a specific target in mind, do you think?
Kyle, I think it's dangerous to speculate, and I think we should avoid irresponsible speculation, and we should also avoid creating an atmosphere of paranoia. I think there is definitely significant pushback from some of the networks that have benefited extensively from criminal activity in and around Eskom. We are tightening the screws. There have been a number of reports of arrests, people that have been subject to disciplinary action, people that have had money forfeited to the state by unexplained millions in their bank accounts and so forth. So I think that there are quite a few people who are not fully aligned with the new direction that Eskom is taking to clean up its operation.
Kyle, thank you for the question. Thanks, Andre, for the response. It does look like, colleagues, we are on set for the shortest media briefing of the day. I see no further questions. I see no further hands. There we go. Terence Creamer has just posted a question. Planned outages seems to be low for the summer maintenance season. Is Eskom sticking to its reliability maintenance schedule? Andre?
At this point in time, Terence, yes, we are, to the extent that we are able to do so, given the constraints imposed by the release of funds to do the maintenance. So we are not going to go about maintenance in a haphazard fashion, but we are sticking to our schedule. We've got a committed maintenance team that are doing what they can within the constraints. But as we have explained in previous meetings, we have issues with liquidity and the release of funds in time for us to procure spares, appoint contractors and so forth. So this has unfortunately had a negative impact on our ability to execute as planned. Thanks, Terence.
Thank you, Andre. Kyle, please proceed.
Thank you. Sorry, this will be the last question. I'm sorry if I missed it. Could we just please have clarity on the current megawatts that are out for planned as well as unplanned, and what the partial load losses are as of this morning? Thank you.
Please lower your hand, Kyle. Do you have that information in your fingertips right now, Andre?
Sikunati, let me just get the latest update that was just released a couple of minutes ago. Then I can give you the latest status. Just give me a moment or two while this loads. So where we are right now, planned maintenance is sitting at 3,910. We are sitting with unplanned full losses of 8,900 and partials of 4,901. We are trying to get that information updated now. Let's see if I can get more recent information than that. No, I think that's it. Thank you.
That means we just over 12,000 megawatts of breakdowns. Am I correct?
The total amounts to 13,991, Sikunati.
Thank you. Colleagues, I see no, okay, I've got further questions from my colleagues. Banele, I suppose this is Banele Gininza from Business Report. Given the onslaught on Eskom assets, what are the security measures being implemented in total? And is that digging into Eskom's operational budget? The next question, okay, yeah, that was Banele Gininza. I think that's Banele Gininza from Business Report.
Right, thanks. The cost of additional security is minuscule compared to avoiding the losses associated with this type of incident. So we are spending the money that is required. I'm not going to disclose in public what exactly those measures are, but we have stepped up our overt and covert surveillance and security around our sites.
That was the last question that we had, Andre. Any closing remarks from your side? And are we continuing with the media briefing in the morning?
Yes, Sikunati, we will have another briefing tomorrow morning at 9 to provide an update. As I indicated, we will be communicating with the public at 4 this afternoon to confirm our intention to move to stage 1 load shedding from 5 o'clock tomorrow morning, and lifting load shedding between the hours of 9 and 5 overnight. So please stay tuned for an update at 4. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Andre. Colleagues, there you have it. Please do not phone me today. I will not be able to take your calls. Load shedding will be suspended at 9 p.m. tonight and reinstated at 5 a.m. at stage 1 level. And we will tomorrow morning have another update for you with regards to the situation. Thank you very much for your attendance. I repeat again, I will not be able to take any calls. I'm working in a power station in a matter of moments. Thank you so much. Have a nice day.